A very good morning to you all and a warm welcome. Goeiemôre aan julle almal en baie welkom. Today is the 25th of June 2023, an early morning, Sunday morning, and it's just after 5 a.m. Here in Pretoria. As always, please remember to press that like button, share and subscribe to our videos. Today I'm going to talk about SBB takeoff. And of course, in closing, our choices and the questions that we need to ask ourselves is, what's the way forward? That's the decision time that we need to take action on our futures and for our children's sake. So today, let's just talk. What I want you to do is just to pause the video, go and make a nice hot cup of coffee, maybe a few rusks or a cup of tea, or for some of you something stronger for these cold mornings and for the situation that we find ourselves here in South Africa. And of course, if you have a fire, then sit next to the fire and listen to my brief. Right, so what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about the SBB split, or the Southland Citizen Protection Split from the Southlanders. Just very briefly, some reasons, and of course what lies ahead for SBB. Now I want to talk about SBB because it's going to be easier on the tongue and on just the general discussion. Okay, so yes, the split has come. It has been an unpleasant time for everybody, most probably on both sides. For the uninformed, it's like that. Anyway, if we look at the histories of the Southlanders, and of course at that time, Southland Defence was originated from the Southlanders as a defence leg, and the Southlanders themselves as the civilian leg. Time has come for that change to come about, and it wasn't an easy situation because ourselves were not prepared for that decision that had come from the Southlanders. Be that as it may, all those finer details, one will only hear and find out later on. But it comes down to the fact that you need to make those decisions. You need to find out what are the facts. And I've said before in previous videos, make columns or draw up columns and jot down the facts, and then you make that decision. What's the best way forward for yourselves and for your families and children and your futures, what to do. As you all well know, excuse me, the histories of the Southlanders have gone back many, many years with a massive membership base. Ourselves, SBB, excuse me, started 3 years ago, and our membership is quite strong now. But a lot of our members are still on the books of the Southlanders. Right, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. So, if you look at what has happened over the past few weeks, it is very clear that finances has been a big issue from the very beginning. And Southland Defence, obviously springboarding from the structures of the Southlanders, relied on the management of finances. Assets were registered, various assets from vehicles to trailers to whatever the case may be. And that's how the business was functioning. So when the so-called divorce was announced, surprisingly, things had to jump into action. Company registrations had to be done, bank accounts had to be opened, certain things have to take place so that the business of the day can continue. So these are the things that have happened. Now, before I continue, I just want to start off by what the word says. And I'm just going to read 2 verses, and then I'm going to discussions. And I want you to enjoy your coffee or your tea or that stronger, whatever it is, OBS, next to the winter fire. And jot down your comments, and during the course of the day I'll respond as best as possible. If I read from 1 John 4, verses 1 and 6, it goes as follows. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. Because many false prophets have gone out into the world. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us. But whoever is not from God does not listen to us. This is how we recognize the spirit of the truth and the spirit of falsehood. That's 1 John 4. You can go and read that. Now I'm starting that off. And you all have a personal relationship with your Maker. So I'm going to rely on your spiritual experience, your spiritual contact with your Maker to decide what is best for you, and then, of course, accordingly act. Right, I just want to mention this Siener van Rensburg. I have heard of Siener van Rensburg. I've seen a picture of him. I have not read one book, not one verse. That is Siener van Rensburg's point of view. Yes, in his time, and I'm not saying left or right, but my personal relationship with God tells me that I should not be, and my families and my children and my friends and my organizations I belong to should not be in this present persecution that we are experiencing at the moment. This ongoing persecution against our freedom, our rights, our choices, crime, corruption, no electricity. You know it all. You read it. It's all available. So it's common sense at the end of the day that this that we're going through cannot continue. It doesn't matter what Siener van Rensburg says or whatever prophet says about the way forward. My God tells me what's going on. My God tells me what I should do for myself. Because if I don't look after myself, I can't look after my family, and I can't look after my children. And I also can't look after my organization and the people of this country that are under ongoing persecution. So, our world is in a mess. We have choices. We can leave, for those that are fortunate that can leave. But where do you go? Where do you go in this world where there's no persecution? Where do you go where it's safer? You know, we're at that point in the world today on the global stage where there's nuclear threat talk and action that wants to play out. So your best place is where you are at the moment, and that Psalm 91 be over you and your families. Coming to this country, the ongoing hate speeches by various political leaders needs to be recorded and noted, because at the end of the day, the politicians are the reasons why we are living miserable lives. And the politicians are the ones at the end of the day that must be held accountable and responsible by people like ourselves on the ground. And that still has to play out going forward. But for these things to happen, you are going to need to stand together. Right, so coming back to the split between the Southlanders and the Southland Defence, then now SBB, it comes back to money and financial controls, etc., etc. And in this financial web or network, there's somewhere a Judas that is using the money to cause division. Now, you know, back from the days of the Last Supper to every situation in our world over the many, many years, 2,000 years to this very day in various governments, etc. Finances play a role in the devastation of people's lives. I have personally many experiences which I'll share later on finances, betrayal, jealousy, etc., etc. But it's very similar to what is being played out or had been played out and probably is still going to be playing out between the Southlanders and the now SBB. Now let's look at a bit of business administration and business principles under this situation with the finances. Now, if you have your own business, let's say you have a butchery and you have customers, they come in a situation like that, the butcher or the sole proprietor, business owner, manages his own finance. He can do what he wants with his finance. Whether he wants to buy a new bakkie or not pay his rent or pay whatever, that is his decision. And then, of course, when you have a business like a corporate, then you'd have a CFO, a chief financial officer, or various financial managers at different levels of the company. And of course, there'd be meetings held, and certain finances from then would be approved and allocated for projects or salary increments, bonuses, etc., etc. That's how the corporates work. So there's a system in the corporate structure. Now, when you run an organization like the Southlanders, or you run an organization like ourselves, which is a non-profit organization, it's run very similarly to a homeowners association organization. We have members are paying levies. In this case, it would be membership fees, and those membership fees are allocated to various operational costs and steered by the directors of that organization and nominated directors. So in a homeowners organization, I want to speak from experience now. I was a homeowner chairman for 10 years, ongoing at Aqua Vista Mountain Estate. That's on the eastern side of Pretoria, there near Bronkhorstspruit Dam. And I have a record there of 10 years standing on how finances should be managed. So there's good reference there, good track record. So I'm going to speak here from experience. When you're handling monies on behalf of many people, the allocation of funds is important. It's prioritized, it's budgeted for, and of course decisions are made jointly by the directors of that organization. And of course there's annual meetings that take place, AGM meetings, proxies are drawn up for people that can't attend, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, the Southlanders and the SBB organizations, non-profit organizations, have to run on the same basis. And of course, there's annual audits that are done by auditors to ensure the books are run properly. So that's what happens when members pay membership fees or levies in the case of homeowners association. That's how finances are managed and allocated. Right, so it's very important that finances has a foundation on which it is then steered. Right, on the financial side, you can look at that Anton Piller report. It's very clear, it's for public knowledge of what has been going on between the Southlanders and Southland Defence, then now SBB. Right, further to the split, I need to talk about this because it's important from my side for the English-speaking members out there. Is also there are personal agendas that certain members may have within various organizations. Now, I know when I was a homeowner, when I was the chairman of the Homeowners Association, I make decisions that's best for the people. Coming to SBB, I know all the executives and I know in detail what's going on, and I can share with you that our vision, mission and responsibilities is in the best interests for our members. Why are we in existence? We are in existence because we know that anarchy is going to break out. We know that we are already in anarchy. And as I've said before in many videos, let's say anarchy is out of a scale out of 10, we're on 9. 9 out of 10, that's where we are in anarchy. We know there's no law. I can even tell you taxis. And if you don't agree with me, I want you to put it down on the comments so that we can discuss it. Taxis don't even stop anymore at red robots. I see it all the time. I see a police car standing there. The taxis, they do what they want. So there's no law in South Africa as we speak. And it's all common knowledge. I mean, I'm just refreshing your minds on a Sunday morning early by your firesides. So, personal agendas, do your homework, draw up your columns, do your pros and cons, your advantages, your disadvantages, and see where you come out with an answer. What's very, very important with executive management is, do they walk their talk? In other words, it's not just talk, but do leaders walk their talk? And also, is the talk in line with the behavior? These are things you must look at. These are things you must Google, ask questions, ask around, and add that to your column. In other words, you're busy with your process to see that you're on the right organization and that you're steering your own lives and your investments in that right direction. What's very interesting with the split is that visions have caused such havoc in the situation that we find ourselves, and the division that has followed, and then of course the damage that has to be done to sort out and move forward. And of course, as General du Toit has mentioned, is that the Anton Pillar Court Order is for public knowledge, and you all can read it for more detail on that. SBB's agenda is again only for the people that are under persecution by our political leaders, and that's all. That's all our vision and mission is to look after our people in times of anarchy. When the government can't look after you, which they can't do at the moment, and I've said to you, and on a scale out of 10, we're at 9. It's just waiting for that total collapse, like you experienced back in July of 2021. Okay, furthermore, on SBB and your other columns where you've listed your other organizations, I'm not just mentioning Southlanders, any other organization you may belong to. You must look at the leadership and the management of that organization. And of course, you must zoom in on the profiles of the individuals. Is the right person in the right post? You know, if you're a gardener, you obviously have to prune that tree to get the best fruit. Sometimes pruning is best. You may have to wait a period of time to get the best fruit, but any farmer will know that pruning has to take place, restructuring has to take place for things to be able to operate at their best. So leadership and management plays a very big role in any organization. And of course, the plan. Every organization has a plan, a business plan, and the Southlanders, their plan, SBB, our plan, whatever plan needs to be auditable, measurable, and realistic, and executionable. So for that to happen, you have to have the right person in the right post. And that's why in our organization, we are so structured that we have certain ranks within the various battalions. We have a civilian battalion now that can and will accommodate all the civilians that feel uncomfortable elsewhere. You're welcome to be part of that. Obviously, that will be allocated when you call our center, our call center. Our numbers are reflected at the bottom of our videos, and of course, for all the civilian members that want to feel secure in what we are doing and how we are doing things, you are welcome to join our civilian battalion. And of course, in that, once you've joined that, you'll be briefed on what will be done and your role there going forward. And the most important thing is the choice. Your choice after you've done your evaluation, analysis, your study, call it what you will, on the way forward. You'll need to make that decision soon. If you pick up on the news and on the political spectrum, you'll see that the EFF have invited Ace Magashule and Jacob Zuma, call it the RT forces, and that also include the MK allotment. So coming up then to the 2024 elections, I've mentioned this before, that would happen. Then you're looking at a very shaky period ahead, extremely shaky. The realities are that the minority group will not accept the ANC anymore due to their corruption, their hate speeches. The minority group will never accept the EFF or the RT forces for what they've done to our people, for all the farm murders that has taken place. There's just no remedy for the so-called Rainbow Nation coming forward. And adding to that, for the believers, it's time that you pray, and it is time for you to take a decision and join the likes of ourselves at the SBB leg of our society. You know, in your columns, I want you to write down immigration. How many people have left this country to date? You're looking at well over 1.5 million. Unemployment at present moment is 60% with the youth, not even the elderly, that aren't even working, they were living off grants. We read the national health insurance is a train on the way to a massive crash. If some of you are not sure what the NHA is about, go to Baragwanath, go to Mamelodi hospitals for an eye-opener, and go and sit there or walk about in these hospitals, and you'll see what's lying ahead for yourselves. These medical schemes will crash, and the money will all be managed by the state, and it'll be just another pool like Eskom, and like all state-owned enterprises, will be a pool where the cadre deployment can use that to their advantage. And then you're going to see all the nice Mercedes, Land Rovers, BMWs, Jaguars, and the like, Maseratis at the robots and the parking lots. Then you'll know these are all government-related BE contracts. Not to mention the farm murders. This year, in the first 90 days, we had 77 attacks. And of late, we've had 9 murders in a question of a week or two. When is the next farmer and his wife and family going to be taken out? Yes, it hasn't touched you yet. Yes, your car is still clean. Yes, your garden is still cut, and your home looks good, and you stay in nice estates like the Silver Lakes Golf Course. But how long is it going to be like that? Yesterday I arrived at a garage to fill up my vehicle with fuel, to find that the air doesn't work anymore. The compressor's not working for weeks. So this is a sign that not even the petrol stations have enough operating capital to keep their existing operations running. So I had to go to another garage to get the tires pumped. That's just something small I threw in there. Okay, then of course, lastly, terror funding. We know that South Africa internationally is known for funding terrorists. Kidnappings is on the rise. We read it weekly, and the ransoms are big. So it's big business. So total chaos in South Africa. You've done your columns, you've made your notes. Stop staying naive, or remaining naive. Stop, and I'm asking you, stop living a life in a lie that things are coming right in this country. Things will not come right in this country. Our leaders are unskilled. Our leaders are underdeveloped. Our leaders do not understand unity. As we've seen in the past 27 years, we have also learned that coalitions can't work. Everybody in the political party wants to be the state president. So yes, chaos supreme. And the old saying is, the one that controls the chaos the best is obviously on the top. So your choice, I'm sure, is clear after you've drawn up your columns and you've made all your ticks and crosses. The time is then just to do it. Join us. Join the likes of the SBB. Finances are important. Remember, your membership fees need to be paid. If you have membership fees elsewhere, make sure they're cancelled. It's very important that they're cancelled via a bank, or phone that call center of that respective organization and join our organization. We have a website. It'll also take you through the steps, and also at the bottom of our videos is very clear. We need your membership so that we can do what needs to be done in times of anarchy, and it's not very far away. You all know it. You just got to accept it. So join us. We have a national emergency plan that works, and it will only kick in when the government can no longer guarantee your safety. You've seen it, the robots. The taxis aren't stopping the robots. You see it, the robots. The guys that are walking the streets are doing traffic control. And you've seen the accidents. Yeah, that's South Africa. Right, so remember that 10-10 principle. Share our videos. 10 people must inform 10 people, and also ask those 10 people to inform another 10 people. That's how we get our message out on social media. Thank you very much for your Sunday morning early attendance. I appreciate. Look after yourselves. Stay well. Keep safe and keep sharp. Until next time. Tot ziens en groete.